up, but let's go ahead and dive in here because we've got a lot to go through today. So welcome everybody. My name is Snyder. I'm program manager at Solar Oregon. I'm just going to get my slides going here. Can everybody see my full screen slide deck? Give a thumbs up or something. It's on my panel. Awesome, great. So we are super thrilled to have you. This is Solar Oregon's biggest event of the year that we hold annually. We've had it for the past 3 years and it has roots a little bit deeper than that. This is a tour of zero energy homes across the state, which we're super excited about. And this is the first year that we're doing it both virtually and in person. And so it's exciting for that reason too. And I will let you know a little bit later on how you can get tickets for the in-person event if you haven't already. So a little overview of what we're going to be seeing today. I am going to kick us off with a welcome and an introduction. And then we're going to hear from 4 site hosts for this tour. And one who was unable to make it. We're just going to show the video for their site. This is, I realized today, the half of the tour that represents all the geographic diversity. So if you tuned in today, you're going to get to see 5 sites, including in Portland, Bend, Sisters. And we're going to show a video for each site. And then you're going to have an opportunity as the audience to ask questions. And so we'll have 5 to 8 minutes for question answering from each site host. So please put your questions in the Q&A box. We really want to hear from you. This is definitely intended to be a very interactive session. And we'll wrap it up in probably just about an hour. So a little background on Solar Oregon, which is my nonprofit. And so this is a picture of myself and my co-lead, Ari. And Ari just joined us in August. I've been with Solar Oregon for the past couple of years, but Solar Oregon is a 40-year-old nonprofit. And we educate about solar and other forms of clean energy. We do things like solar tours, and this is our biggest one of the year. As well as solarized campaigns and educational webinars and events that help homeowners and business owners learn about the basics of solar so that they can adopt clean energy for themselves. We are a member-driven nonprofit, and your donations, your support really make a difference in our ability to deliver the great educational content about the exciting world of clean energy. So please, if you're not a member, if you are a member, thank you so much. If you're not, please consider joining, or you can donate at this bit.ly link here. And Ari's gonna drop that link in the chat too. Also, we have a very live and engaging social media presence. So please follow us at Solar Oregon on any of your favorite social media platforms. This event is part of a really great week of events all about sustainable building. It's Sustainable Building Week, started yesterday and goes through this Saturday, the 16th. There are a ton of really exciting events on all sorts of aspects of architecture and design and construction. So definitely a great thing to check out. We have a link for that as well. sustainablebuildingweek.org, and they have a great events calendar up there. You can see all the sponsors and collaborating organizations here. So it's really a ton of people who come together to make this happen. Here's a quick look at the calendar for Sustainable Building Week. The Go Zero Tour, which is this event, you'll see that we are here on Tuesday with the first of 2 virtual webinars. We'll have our second virtual webinar where you'll see the other 4 sites. So we have 9 in total, and you'll be able to ask questions of those site hosts as well. We have some really exciting ones. That is also at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. On Thursday. Your ticket that you already registered for. We'll get you into both. You just have to click the link at 10 a.m. On Thursday. And ticketed separately, but also really exciting, is the in-person tour, which is going to be this Saturday. It's an open house tour, and there are 4 sites participating in Portland and 1 each in Bend and Ashland. The Bend Ashland tickets are just $5. So if you're in those communities, go check out the site in your community. In Portland, it's $25, and it's a great way to take a look and really get an in-depth conversation and connection with the site host. And I believe that Ari can drop a link for tickets for the in-person event if you haven't already gotten yours. This is the part of the virtual portion of this tour is our multimedia tour website. It's something that you get as a registrant, and it's that link there on the screen, which we'll also drop in the chat. And if you haven't looked at it, really go look at it, because you'll see all of the videos and narratives and technical information for all the sites here, all 9 sites, and you'll get to take a look at them before you come to the second webinar and go to the in-person tour. So the sites we're going to look at today are these 5, and yeah, we're gonna get to that in just a second. So a huge thank you to our sponsors who make this event possible. Thank you so much to Energy Trust of Oregon, who's our title sponsor. They give us tremendous support for this event and also for other programs that Solar Oregon delivers. And they also, they're an independent nonprofit. They've been around for a long time. They provide a ton of incentives and information to help homeowners, business owners, and builders make sure that the homes and buildings in our state are as efficient as possible. And I'm going to share just a few resources from them in a couple of minutes. Thank you also to Beneficial State Bank, which is the bank of Solar Oregon, and also a supporter of the Go Zero Tour and a registered B Corp, and they just do great work. So I mentioned Energy Trust of Oregon, and I'm going to share some of their resources in just a couple minutes. So first, before we get started, there is a lot of terminology around building. This is one of the most exciting aspects of, to me, of the kind of sustainable revolution that we are a part of, is zero energy design. But what does zero energy really mean? What is zero energy versus net zero? What is zero energy ready? These are kind of confusing terms sometimes. So zero energy means that your production of energy at your home or business equals the consumption. And so this is almost always with solar, that you're going to produce your own electricity. And you can be zero energy, which means you also have no gas, or you can be net zero, which means you are net zero electric and you produce all of your electricity. The homes and sites on this tour are zero energy, net zero, or zero energy ready, or sorry, going zero, which means that they are not necessarily at zero, but making great strides in their kind of category of what kind of site they are. And so we have just a couple of those on this tour. Here are some great resources if you are interested in learning from this tour. And that is really the value of this tour. It's a great place to learn about energy efficiency and about solar and hear stories. So if you are interested in learning and getting resources and finding incentives for your own home, you can learn about efficiency from Energy Trust of Oregon. Go to energytrust.org/residential. That link will be in the chat. If you want to learn all about solar and get connected really quickly to qualified solar contractors in your area who will give you free quotes, You can go to energytrust.org/programs/solar, and you'll find the solar bid tool on the Energy Trust site. If you are joining us today and you're a builder and you want to learn about how you can incorporate and get incentive money to incorporate efficient practices into your building business, you can go to energytrust.org/residential/new-homes-solutions, and that link will also be in the chat, and there are some great resources there as well. So without any further delay, because the focus here really is the homeowners today and the site hosts, let's take a tour. We have an incredible diversity of projects this year on the Go Zero tour, from multifamily to cottage to single family retrofit, zero energy retrofits, even a tiny home, which will be next week. And so we are just going to kick off, and what we do every year is we develop a video for each site to really encapsulate the story. Like I said, we're going to start with the video for our first site, which is the Redmond Habitat for Humanity 11 zero energy cottages, a really incredible site here.
We're at the Northwest Cottage development in West Bend. We have 11 homes here that are all net zero.
My name is Jacob Clark, VP of Acquisition and Land Development at Redmond Habitat for Humanity.
I'm Grace, and I am a site supervisor.
I'm Alex Pagoni. I'm an AmeriCorps member and construction crew lead for Habitat.
So at Habitat, we're committed to simple, decent, affordable housing. Often with one-income families, every penny counts. And solar allows the monthly utility cost year-round to be likely under $20 a month.
That savings every month goes into the pocket of the homeowner, and that can make a huge impact on them and their family.
Working in affordable housing alone is pretty awesome. Having them be net zero is just extra rewarding.
I think it's beneficial to our community, it's beneficial to the homeowners, it's obviously beneficial to the environment. If we're able to do it as an affordable housing company, then really anybody should be able to do it.
They have very low air leakage in the building envelope. They do have heat and AC, energy recovery ventilation system, perimeter slab insulation, full under slab insulation, Milgard 2.2 high efficiency windows. We use T-wall intersections and 3 stud corners in the building process. As an all-electric site, we found funding available through ETO and Oregon Department of Energy to offset a large part of the solar cost. And the community in Central Oregon is committed to sustainability and reducing the environmental impact of our housing. From reclaimed high school football fields in the front yards to solar on the roofs. This is a direct result of our community's dedication.
Please come volunteer. Honestly, you don't need any experience. You just come, and it's really fun, and we'll teach you how to do it, and it's really empowering. So please come out.
All right, and thank you so much to everybody involved on that site, and to our videographer, Keelan Booth, who does great work. It's my pleasure now to introduce Grace Weger, who you saw in the video just a second ago, from Redmond Habitat for Humanity. Grace is the site supervisor for this development. Super excited to have you here today, Grace. So it was really cool to get a look at that site. I'm curious, what led Redmond Habitat for Humanity to start building zero energy?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I'm excited to be here. We've been building going zero homes for quite a while. We just felt like it was the most responsible thing to do. So we've always been focused on those extra protectors of air leakage, and to go the extra step into net zero, we really partnered with a lot of our community members and got those extra incentives. And again, we just feel like it's the responsible thing to do. And so we made it work, and it was a lot of hard work as affordable housing industry to go fully net zero and get solar and get those extra funds for that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And just a reminder, I'm gonna have a couple questions here for Grace, but if you have questions about this site, go ahead and put them in the Q&A right now, and I will line them up for Grace. Yeah, how did I know that you had a ton of partnerships that helped you in this project, and it just generally building in sustainably. What were those partnerships, and how did they really help you out?
Yeah, our biggest partnership, I would say, was with Energy Trust of Oregon and Earth Advantage. And Earth Advantage offers a lot of classes and certificates that it allowed us to learn how to build more sustainably. So I actually took their sustainable homes professional class to learn about kind of really the leading edge of sustainable building and how to implement it on our site. And we also partnered with them to consult about just about everything, our extra installation, our ERV systems, our heat pump water heaters. They kind of gave us a lot of advice and consulted us along the way.
That's great. And what, I know you mentioned it in the video, but just to kind of reiterate, what is the value of zero energy to the actual homeowner, and what does that actually mean to them?
Yeah, I think if we can all imagine if we only had to pay $10 to $20 a month on our energy bill, what that would mean for us and for our families. That can be huge. That goes into their pocket for saving for maybe their child's education or a vacation or something that could enhance their life that they're not just putting towards their energy bill. Now it goes to whatever they want it to go towards.
That's great. I've got one question here, and if you're watching, really, if you have any question is not too small, so go ahead and just put it in the Q&A. This question here is, I'm in an electric co-op in Salem. We are not part of Energy Trust, and do I have access to their resources? I'm happy to answer that. Energy Trust serves Energy Trust territory, so you won't have access if you are in an electric co-op that's not part of Energy Trust territory, but you will have access to other great incentives, including a state rebate from the Oregon Department of Energy, and your co-op may have resources for you. So go ahead and ask them and see if they do. We also have another question here from Nancy. Nancy asks, do the people in the community of the 11 homes share electricity using equipment, such as washers/dryers, or are they standalone? What size are the homes, and does going toward zero energy reduce maintenance for the homeowners? So that's a couple good questions there.
You might have to remind me of some of those questions along the way if I get sidetracked, but they are standalone units. So they each have their own washer and dryer, all their own appliances. They do not share appliances. What was another question?
So what size are the homes, and does going towards zero energy reduce maintenance for homeowners?
So for cottage code, all the homes had to be under 1,200 square foot. Most of these, we have a couple of floor plans. There's a 3-bedroom floor plan and a 2-bedroom floor plan, and 2 stories and 1 stories. So they're all right around 1,000 square feet. The 3 bedrooms, I think, are 1,100. And our smallest one, I think, is like 960. And the last one was zero energy, reduce maintenance. So some things like the ERV system actually require maybe a little bit more maintenance than your typical appliances at home. But with all our other Energy Star rated appliances, the fridge, the stove, those don't require any more. Certainly, they may require less. And we actually have partnered again with Energy Trust, and they have made a homeowner's manual video actually to show them how to do the extra maintenance that might be required with some of these higher higher energy saving appliances.
That's great. Great questions. And another question here, what price did the home sell for?
So our homes are priced for what the family can afford. And so they appraise for different than what they sell for. So we never have our mortgage more than 33% of a family's income. And so each mortgage is individualized for the family and for what they can afford. And we fundraise the remaining of that.
That's great. And I've got one final question for you from me. I know that you guys are focused on your next project, which is an 18-unit project in Redmond. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm actually on site right now. And we are, like you said, we are building 18 units. 8 of those units are actually ADUs, and we are building these ADUs to provide some sort of temporary relief because the way our housing program works right now is some of the families may be in our program for over a year before they are able to move into their home. And so we wanted to build these ADUs to be kind of transitional if a family, their rent is ending and they need to get out, or they're in maybe a bad situation or on the verge of homelessness and they need a place to stay while their home is being built, we can move them into the ADUs. And then 10 of the units are townhomes, and they are going to have solar. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. We're continuing on that zero energy path, and I don't think we're going back. So
that's awesome. So we got one last question here for your site coming through the Q&A, which is interesting. Nancy asks, is the linchpin to zero energy building in your area in Central Oregon the insulation that can cope with the temperature variation between summer and winter?
I think there's a lot of variables. Insulation is definitely a huge one. We do rigid exterior insulation with a R value of 5 in addition to R21 in the wall cavities. And we have been doing 2x6 24 on center framing as well to accommodate more insulation. I think that is definitely a huge factor in the slab on grade, with the extra insulation in the slab as well helps with that. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that is one of the key components, what we're doing.
Great. All right. Well, Grace, thank you so much for taking time today and for being on this tour. It's just such an exciting site and really great to have you with us. So we are going to, I'm going to share screen again. And I believe I have to, am I full screen right now? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, great, thanks. We are going to go now to our second site, which is in Sisters, just a stone's throw away. This is a home built by the builder at Solaire Home Builders. Really excited to have Cindy, who I'll introduce right after we play the video, and you guys can get a sense for their site.
We run a construction company called Solaire Home Builders, and we specialize in this type of home.
This is our dream home. It's always been a dream.
My name is Matt Douglas. I'm a senior green building consultant for Earth Advantage.
My name is Mike O'Neill. I am a homeowner as well as the builder of this home.
My name is Cindy O'Neill. I'm a principal with Solaire Home Builders, and we're sitting in the home builder's home. We've been building since 1995 with the express goal to take advantage of the power of the sun and the natural resources that are here for the taking in Central Oregon, and to build sustainable homes that give back to the homeowners and the environment too.
Earth Advantage started about 20 years ago as a utility program and kind of morphed into a nonprofit, which we are today. And their main goal and mission is to help builders and developers build better homes.
The big thing is the home envelope.
We use a 10-inch wide wall filled with blown-in blanket insulation, lots of insulation in the floor, the ceiling. We have high-efficiency windows, which are really important in this home because the design feature has a lot of windows. Next thing would be our heating and cooling system is an extremely efficient mini split heat pump.
And then we add solar panels to make up the difference between our consumption and our generation of electricity at the site. We're able to enjoy a tax break. I think it's about 25% of the cost of the system is a tax break on our tax liability over a 4-year period.
Central Electric Co-op does have a New Homes Performance Path program, and it's based on the energy efficiency of the home. And as long as it meets 10% more above code, there's incentives available.
So this home with a near energy zero bill provides us with a lot of security into the future. We feel good that our grandchildren can be proud that their grandparents built a net zero home, that we show that we care about the environment and the future of it.
We love to be outdoors. We love taking our children and grandchildren outside and playing in streams and rivers and hikes. And so we believe that we're reducing our impact on the environment by building a home like this. And it's something that other builders can do for their clients and other clients can achieve. It's a very doable methodology of building.
All right. I'm so excited to introduce Cindy O'Neill, the homeowner and principal at Solaire Home Builders. This is the one new single family home that we have on the tour. And it's so beautiful. And it's something that, I think when I look at it, if I didn't know that it was zero energy, I would look at it and think, okay, well, it's too beautiful, too big. And that's really why it's so cool, is that it's here and it's something that you can do right now. And you don't have to really sacrifice on other elements that you really value. So Cindy, welcome. My first question for you is, how did you find that balance between beauty and sustainability?
Well, thank you, Zach. And I will answer that question, and you may have to remind me. Talking about balance between beauty and efficiency. I just want to congratulate Redmond, Habitat for Humanity, for building net zero homes now. I used to be on the board 11 to 12 years ago, and we were beginning to integrate sustainability into Habitat homes. I'm so proud that Habitat is now doing net zero. And it's just a testament to the fact that whether it's a tiny home, an affordable home, or a custom home, which we focus on at Solaire, the ability to get to net zero is here now. It's all off the shelf. Now, balancing sustainability, energy efficiency, and beauty is a wonderful puzzle. Each time we sit down with a client and explain how we might get to zero. And we start with 5 principles on every single home. We'll start with the site and the amenities on the site. And certainly everyone in Central Oregon wants that view of the Three Sisters Wilderness and Broken Top, but we also want to take advantage of the power of the sun. That's the very first principle, to find a way to orient the home near due south, if possible, or at least within 30 degrees east-west, and take advantage of both passive solar and active solar on the home. Secondly, we begin design with the goal of super insulating the home, orienting it to the south, and putting most of the major living areas on the south side of the home to take advantage of passive solar. So we work on reducing the energy consumption first by super insulating the home through design, the shell, the windows, and we work towards a very near airtight home. Thirdly, then once we have a design and we know the conserving powers of the home, we figure out, with the help of Earth Advantage, which heating and cooling systems to add into the home, the ERV and energy efficient lighting and appliances to reduce our consumption of energy in the home. Interestingly enough, when you super insulate a home, you reduce the amount of energy you need to heat and cool the home, which is awesome. After those 3 first principles, which I think really address 2/3 of the energy equation for a home, any custom home. We look at healthy indoor air. We reduce the materials that might off-gas, VOCs. We look for materials that are durable in the home and the exterior of the home. We install an ERV with a HEPA filter to reduce wildfire smoke, perhaps, or dust in the environment on the inside of the home. And then lastly, we look at ways, the fifth principle, to reduce the kinds of materials we put in and on the home that are a burden on the environment. And we recycle a lot of wood and cardboard during the process. Someone brought up durability of a net zero home, and I just wanted to say, we really must focus on materials that withstand the weather in Oregon now and in the future, as well as withstand fire risk. So things like fiber cement siding and composite roofs instead of decks, do pavers, things that really reduce fire danger for people in Oregon.
That's great. And you mentioned air quality and, you know, in terms of VOCs, but also you mentioned fire danger too. What I know from, you know, I'm based in Portland, and when I want to go out on an adventure in Central Oregon, I look at the air quality to see how smoky it is. In the past few summers, it's, you know, been hit and miss. How's that been for you? And what impact does it make to have a home that is more efficient?
It's worked great. You know, we've been installing energy recovery ventilators in our homes for at least 20 years. And on several in-person tours, when we could have them, we would have wildfires in Central Oregon, and people would walk in and remark that the air seemed so fresh and cool in our homes. These days, we also recommend installing a HEPA filter system on top of the energy recovery ventilator to really get those very small fire-generated particles that are dangerous for human beings' lungs. It works great. It worked great this summer for us and last year. So it's vitally important with the way our climate change is affecting wildfire frequency in Oregon.
Great. And now, thank you for those of you putting questions in the Q&A box. Continue to put those in. Got a question here. Did you think twice about designing the wall of windows and the high ceilings, or does the insulation override the extra energy they might require to maintain a comfortable temperature inside?
Yes, we did think twice about the windows and the insulation. The modeling with Earth Advantage really helps with the balance of energy consumption with window walls and insulated walls, ceilings, and subfloors. We super insulated everything and did the modeling, chose the windows. They're Anderson 100 series. Their factor is 0.27 for energy gain or loss. So they're highly efficient windows, first of all. We also have an exterior solar shade to mitigate excess solar heat in the spring and fall. This is an extra expense. So we thought about this, and you know, a sustainable home is also a home that's beautiful, that you love to live in. We love a lot of light, and we love to see the outdoors. We're outdoor people. So it's very important to us, but to compensate and get that balance that Zach was talking about, we super insulated the home and made it very, very airtight. It was just over 2-point air changes per hour when we got it tested by Earth Advantage. So, and then on the north side of the house, you know, we have fewer windows. The view is of the neighbors. We don't need to have large windows there. So we reduced windows on the north side.
That's great. We have a question. Are the homes all electric? And I think the question is maybe about the homes on the tour in general and about your home. And your home is?
Yes, it's all electric, except we cheated and we have a gas fireplace, propane.
Gotcha. And Yeah, on this tour, there's a mix of all electric and some homes that have gas. And another question, are you doing anything special for water use in your home? And do you have a solar water heater?
We do not have a solar water heater. When we did the modeling, we added panels that would compensate for an electric hot water heater. What was the other part of the question? There was the solar hot water heater and.
Are you doing anything special for water use?
Oh yes. All of our faucets and shower heads and so forth and so on are water-wise. That's a standard with Solaire. And for our irrigation, although we have some lawn to reduce fire danger and dust, we have drip irrigation for the rest of our plants, and the front of our house is all native landscaping.
That's great. And we have a question here. Hi, do you have an average estimate on how much more value does a home with solar sell for? It's an interesting question, probably one that's difficult to answer.
Well, when we do spec homes, which we did early in 2010, 11, and 12 to test the market on this product, we found that on average, these homes appraised higher than their neighbors in Northwest Crossing. And they appraised for between 10% and 12% more. It's a real figure, and really pleased the homeowners because that was about how much more it costs to go to net zero on their home.
That's great. And there's been a ton of research around the country on how solar affects home value. And it is a market, so it is kind of fluid, but you can find some statistics out there. I know that there have been studies in California, for example. That's great. Cindy, we're gonna move on because we're at time, but it's just really great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming and showing us.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, I am going to jump back into share screen. So our third site today, super excited to have Robert Vancreveld, who is a homeowner in Southeast Portland, who has a 1928, if I'm correct, home, who has done his own zero energy retrofit over a period of time. So really excited. If you are watching and you have an older home and you're wondering, how do I get to zero? Get out your notepad.
There was never any plan to go net zero. We just, in the end, have ended up there. Well, my name's Robert Vancreveld, and I live here with my wife, Barbara. And we have been living here for about 12 years in this home. It's built in 1928. Having worked for the Energy Trust as a subcontractor, I had the opportunity to look at a lot of houses that were being improved, and I learned how it was done, and I've done it on my own systems. Started by putting insulation into the walls and trying to air seal. We put a metal roof on with cool roof technology, put in a rainwater harvesting system and a wastewater heat recovery system. We're all electric now, gotten rid of all the gas. Then we had Energy Solutions come out from Oregon City, and they put the solar on the roof, and now the systems are so cheap, it's you just really have to do it, because at $1 a watt or less, you can't afford not to do it. If you're interested in going solar and you don't think you have the funding to do it, the Energy Trust has a program, Energy Within Reach. They'll subsidize a pretty good part of a of the cost. I would encourage everybody to look into it. It's a lot cheaper than you think, and Energy Solutions was a good choice for us. A lot of the improvements we've done to the house have been on the really cheap using the Rebuilding Center. A big shout out to the Rebuilding Center for all the appliances and parts of the house that came from there. We feel very strongly that reusing materials is not only a great thing for our wallets, it's also a great thing because we don't have to create new materials or use materials that are imported. We're really enjoying being able to do our part for the environment. I'd like to think that by getting net zero with this 1928 house, a lot of people that can't afford to buy a brand new passive house can do it to their own houses piece by piece and get there.
All right. Robert, thanks so much for being here. And I think that, there are a ton of people who are probably very eager to hear, how in an older home you got there. So really great to hear you mention things like the Solar Within Reach incentive from Energy Trust of Oregon. I'm kind of curious, how quick was this transition and what really got you started down this path?
Well, it was not quick. We spent the last 12 years getting here, and what got us onto the path was we had a house. We bought this house. It was one that we could afford. It was really under market, and we had to rebuild everything in it except for the electrical system. There was a pond in the basement, and it was very drafty, and you couldn't open the windows, and it was a little expensive to heat, and it was a little uncomfortable. So we started with insulation and worked up to putting in a mini split heat pump so that we could be comfortable and not have to decide whether or not to start a fire when we came home from work. Over the years, we've added little things as we could, and finally, with the stimulus money from the government during the pandemic, we had the funding to put up the solar. So we were really excited about that. And then we found we had more solar resource than we expected, and we got rid of our gas appliances and switched them over to all electric, and even are charging a plug-in hybrid car now, all from the same solar that we thought would just power the house.
That's so exciting. And that's great. That's the best use of a stimulus check. Everybody's got their story. That's the best one. I love it. Spent it on solar. So what were the easiest and most difficult / expensive parts? Was there anything that was kind of particularly so I was like, that was much easier than I thought, or that was much harder than I thought?
Well, the easiest thing was switching out the gas and going to induction cooking. We thought that gas was the premier cooking method, and it turned out induction is even superior to gas. The most expensive thing was, both the windows and the insulation. We had the insulation professionally installed. It's a foam spray-in foam insulation that they drilled holes throughout the outside of the house and sprayed it in, and that was pretty spendy. But that's the only way we could figure without destroying the entire house. And if I had to do again, I might skip the foam and go with cellulose, but those were the expensive parts, and the parts I couldn't do myself, I guess, because except for the insulation and the metal roof and the solar, that I did everything else myself.
That's great.
Yeah. We were able to get a super deal on a heat pump water heater from General Pacific Conservation in Fairview. Um, and that got us over the hump of the water heater. We did have gas water heater and gas cooking. And originally the house had a gas furnace, which that was the first thing to go after I got the mini split put in, which came from the same company.
That's great. We've got a few questions here for you. So we're going to dive into them. Let's see. How does the wastewater heat recovery work?
Yeah, that's a copper pipe. Acts as a drain, and around that copper pipe, there's a coil of copper that connects to the cold water coming into the shower. So as you're taking a shower, the wastewater flows down this pipe and it preheats the incoming cold water, so you don't need as much hot water. And it seems to work. The longer your shower, the more effect it has. You have to be using hot water at the same time that you're drawing hot water in order for it to work. It's a 6-foot long copper pipe. It's made by Doucette Industries.
That's great. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know that it's worthwhile. I don't know that it pencils out very well, but it's kind of cool.
Neat bit of engineering at the very least.
Yeah, I had to redesign my plumbing to make it work.
Gotcha. Cool. Someone's asking, did you insulate under your roof?
I insulated my ceiling. Yes, the roof is cold, but the attic is insulated. We first put a skim coat of the foam insulation to air seal it, and then I came in and put in R50 of cellulose on top of it. So it's kind of hard to move around in there because the insulation is way above the ceiling joists.
Oh, interesting. And is that what basically that was your air sealing process was the foam?
Yes.
And that's true in your walls too?
Yes, we did the walls with the foam, and that's why we did the foam, really, was to air seal it better.
Yeah.
And
Great.
we also, the rim joist in the basement is also foamed in.
Oh, okay. That's great.
I wanted to insulate the concrete walls in the basement, but it just turned out to be more hassle than it was going to be worth so we didn't insulate the concrete walls, and it's an unfinished basement. And just so you know, the living space of the house is 920 square feet, and the basement is equal.
Oh, okay. That's great. We got someone asking any consideration for a power wall, energy resilience, any plans for that?
Yes, that was our plan. We were hoping that the micro inverters from Enphase would come out with the IQ8, which is the one that allows for islanding, so that if the power went out, we would still be able to operate our solar panels and put in a small battery to get us lights through the evening. That's in the waiting stages. That's in the future. I'd like to be able to have power, keep the freezer going if we have a major outage. So far, we've been lucky. We're close to a major employer that seems to have spectacularly reliable power, so we rarely go out.
That's great. And another question here, how do you balance when to use your wood stove and when to rely on the mini split system? And is the mini split system only for a couple of rooms?
We have a 9,000 BTU mini split. It's a really small one, and it does the whole house because we are pretty tight and insulated. The wood stove is only as a backup for if we have a major outage. We used it a little bit last year during that ice storm. That was nice, but otherwise we're 100% mini split. I hadn't used the wood stove in years. Actually, ever since I put in the mini split, the wood stove has been dormant, but I just wanted to keep it as a backup.
That's great. And then last question here, pretty straightforward. What is the size of your PV system?
My PV system is nominally 6.5 kilowatts, but we are surrounded by trees, and so our sun comes up here generally around 9 o'clock or so, and it goes away at 3 o'clock because we are blessed to have a wall of trees on our west side, very tall trees. So the maximum we were able to achieve for production during the summer, the peak of the summer was 35 kilowatts, and yesterday we made 14 kilowatt hours. And it'll go down from here. But we've already banked enough power to get us through the winter, I think.
That's great. And that's so impressive, even without, a huge roof and, perfect solar access. In a 1928 home, you're so efficient, you can get to zero, all electric. Super exciting. Just a reminder, you can go back in the chat and find a link to the website, check out all these sites. We're gonna move on to our next site, but super glad to have you here, Robert. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, we are now going to move on to second to last site. And this is the Bright Tongue Veterans Apartments in Portland, Oregon. This is a multifamily site that serves the veteran community. Really excited to have this site on the tour. Let's take a look at the video.
We're here at the Bright Tongue building. It is 28 units meant to house veterans.
My name is Derek Aragon, and I'm the developer, owner, and builder of the Bright Tongue building.
I'm Nate Ember. I'm a principal at Inkbuilt Architecture.
Hello, my name is Joshua Fleming, and I'm the program manager here with Do Good Multnomah. So Do Good Multnomah is all about creating veteran-centric communities that are empowering and sustainable.
There was some grant money to do energy modeling. We had a high probability of achieving net zero. Those aspects are solar, energy efficient water heating system, the PTAC units, a higher energy envelope through insulation and advanced framing techniques, higher glazed windows. Through all those different systems, we were able to achieve net zero. We thought it was a really smart and innovative way to bring expenses down for the community that lives here.
We know what the climate crisis looks like. You know how it's going to affect vulnerable people. And since our mission is to house vulnerable people, it's absolutely essential that we reduce those negative impacts long term.
Good Sam had a program that allowed for the vegetable gardens and donated a lot of different aspects to these communal spaces that we had. The state of Oregon through OHCS, we were awarded a grant to perform the construction, and then we were able to be awarded a grant for the solar through Blue Sky with Pack Power.
We always look at energy trust incentives on every project. We try to leverage that. So once we knew we were going down the modeled path, which lets you take every energy saving method into account, that opened up a lot more incentive dollars.
The name of the building has veterans associated to it. The murals have a tribute to veterans, especially in the community.
To know more about the work that we're doing at Do Good Multnomah, as well as volunteer opportunities, go to our website at dogoodmultnomah.org. They can also find us at Do Good Multnomah on Instagram and Facebook. You can also go to our website if you don't have the time to volunteer, and you can sponsor our organization as a monthly giver. And that's really important. It helps us to have those extra funds to do the little things, but those little things are the big things that make somebody's life incredibly different.
All right. Very, very excited to have this site. Obviously, a very collaborative effort. And we have a couple of voices here. We have both Nate Ember, who's with Inkbuilt Architecture, and Derek Aragon from Northwest Ventures. Thank you guys so much for both joining us today. I just want to kick it off with what led, from both your perspectives, and any question that I ask, feel free to just kind of self-select who's going to answer it. But what led you to in this project to making it, building it more efficiently and building it with solar? What was the journey there?
You want to start there?
Sure. Northwest Ventures, myself, my business partner, Mark Reed, we've had a long history of building innovative green methods for multifamily and assisted living. Something that wasn't mentioned, or we didn't have time in the video, was this project was also done 100% modular construction. So we were able to bring, I think, the first net zero modular project to market in this project as well. And so we kind of always approach every project with the lens of how do we make this LEED platinum. We've been doing that for, I think, 12 years now. We were one of the first contractors and developers to go through the Earth Advantage.
Derek, I hate to interrupt you. I can hear you. Your voice is a little quiet, and I think it might be your microphone. Just a heads up.
Does that sound better?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we have a 12-year history with LEED and working with Earth Advantage. And so we kind of always approach every project with that lens of how do we make this energy efficient in LEED Platinum. It's kind of a baseline for us. We've had plenty of experience knowing which systems work for achieving that goal. And I think the tribute to us moving into the net zero was one, Earth Advantage had a great path for that, but also I would commend Nate Embers and the team at Inkbuilt for pushing us being kind of a better builder and developer. Because I probably would have just went LEED Platinum just because we've been doing that for so long and it's kind of something we know how to do. And so we just have a history of that. And then Nate really pushed us, was like, hey, we can do this net zero thing. And it was kind of an early project. And at the time when you have so many moving parts with modular, the affordable housing, the oversight of multiple different bureaucracies and municipalities I just didn't know if I really wanted to take on this extra piece to this puzzle. But Nate really led that. And as it started kind of unfolding through the consulting process, it made total sense. And then we were able to go to a competitive process with the Blue Sky grant. And when we were awarded that, it put us over the hill on being able to go for it.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit, I think Derek said it really well, and we appreciate all the opportunity to nudge forward, and that's a lot of what we try to do with our clients, is to kind of hear what their goals are and try to figure out how do we get even farther than what maybe they think is possible, but through the lens of what they're trying to achieve. In this case, it was to just do as much as we could for the veterans, including eliminate energy bills if we could. And so that was just a big driver. And we, as Derek alluded, we started with getting the solar grant. That opened up the potential to then go down the energy trust path to net zero and get those incentive dollars. And so that we just kind of kept following the incentive dollars, that opened up more opportunities.
Yeah, and I want to just also add, so the community served in the project, they're only allowed a certain stipend of money to pay basically their rent and their utilities. And one of the leading factors of evictions on affordable housing is the small dollar amount that they're not able to pay. So either maybe they only have to pay $20 for their rent, but they owe $30 for utilities, and they get backed up on the utility bill, and then that usually forces property management companies to start the eviction process. So allowing those savings and that to be pushed onto the community allows to kind of pull up the base of the possibility of eviction over something so small like $20 or $30 or $40 utility bill.
That's really great. Thank you for pointing that out. And Nate, I know you've got a hard stop in just a couple minutes, so I want to make sure I ask you, how does sustainability factor into Ink Built, and what does that really mean to you and your team?
Yeah, we've definitely, just kind of understood the environmental crises since, probably architecture school when we kind of first came into the profession, myself and my team. So we've kind of always been passionate about sustainability, but for a lot of years, we worked on the market rate development side, doing a lot of multifamily, and it's just really hard to help those clients and those kind of investors to care enough to really invest in doing more. And we cared about also, bringing sustainability to people who didn't just have a lot of money. And so our social mission kind of has expanded as we started our own firm. A lot of us, worked in other places before. And so we were able to just really focus on people and how to kind of holistically look at the future, what people need, addressing vulnerabilities, all of which comes back to sustainability. So we just, through that lens, we just strive for better, and we strive to help our clients do better. And we're lucky to have a lot of really great affordable housing type clients that really understand that and care just as much as we do, and are just kind of willing to try. And I think that's the key.
That's really great. I've got a couple of questions here. What was the hardest piece of making this go zero? What was the thing that was the most painful?
I'll let Derek start with that. He had the hardest job. So.
I think when you plan for it in the beginning and you set everything up correctly, it kind of starts to come together appropriately with expectations. I think the number one thing for us was understanding the quality control in the factory building process, since it's not site built and you can't see and be hands-on with the execution of some of the building envelope, making sure the foam is sprayed in particular areas and make sure it's fully sealed and the depth is correct, and certain things are buttoned up from a quality standpoint. So we spend a lot of time and energy in the factory, as well as we had a on-site consultant through energy
Earth Advantage, yeah.
Earth Advantage, as well as we hired a third-party consultant to keep an eye on the whole process. So that was probably one from a building perspective. Probably one of the hardest things. And then the second was probably the solar and getting TPO solar done, in the winter season, while also trying to put on solar panels and making sure there's no leaking. I would say on-site and off-site construction methodology, those two were kind of the hardest to.
Yeah, we're to kind of emphasize that the modular buildings are all finished inside. So if you get any leakage, you're starting to, it's not like you're just leaking into an unfinished building. So putting that roofing on was a fairly stressful process that I think Derek had to manage, and it turned out well, but it definitely took some coordination, as did the figuring out how to do the sand and heat pump water heating system. There was some challenges kind of figuring out how to do that, how to help the subcontractor do it properly. In the end, it wasn't rocket science or a huge deal. It's just, it's getting through all of those steps and just kind of, and working through all the energy modeling and ETO process. All of that just takes kind of a commitment to it, and you just kind of, you have to keep following the steps. So it's not that any one of them is especially difficult. I think it's just there's a lot of steps, and you have to keep walking them.
That's great. And we have a couple of questions about the modular aspect. And I'm wondering if you can just give us an overview of what that really means, because I think that that's a new concept to a lot of people.
There's tons of different types of modular. Some people kind of drive to are more familiar with SIPs or panels that are shipped to site, but these buildings are 15 foot wide by 72 feet long, and they have 2 units on each side of the corridor. So they're fully finished. They come with flooring, painting, appliances.
With appliances?
Yeah, appliances, cabinets, countertops. I mean, they're ready to go. You're essentially connecting the central core connections, but everything's stubbed out from electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and they're ready to go. I mean,
and this is built in a factory. So basically it's like the size and shape of a shipping container.
Yep.
And it's built off-site in a factory where they can control the environment and make a lot of them. And then it's kind of shipped to you, and you take a crane and put them together, stack them like Legos, right?
Yep.
And then you put the siding on and connect all of the utility inside.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, so we set the whole building in 3 days. So there was no building, and then 3 days later there was a full building.
That's great. And question here: did the modular component cost less or more than a stick built? What was that like in terms of cost comparison?
So in our market at the time of construction, it was less expensive because you're able to lock in all of your material costs, and you're able to lock in your labor cost. So you're not kind of subject to fluctuating circumstances usually we don't have to worry too much about that, but lately with the pandemic, there's a lot of moving aspects to that, as well as different labor shortages. But for this project, it was less expensive, and I think the one thing that drives us is the speed. It's about a third of the time, so we were able to break ground and then move people in within, I think it was 12 months from start to finish, which typical stick frame would be 16 to 18 months probably.
That's great. Well, we're going to leave it there, but thank you both so much, Nate and Derek, for being here, and super excited to have this project because it's such an accomplishment. And it's great to see these design elements coming into multifamily sites in Portland. So
congrats on everyone else on the panel. Your guys' projects are so awesome, and there's love to see the different, from custom home to affordable to multifamily to a retrofit. Robert, that is a labor of love for your house. It's just cool to see all the different projects.
Yeah, great. Well, we've got one more. The homeowner is not here with us, but we are just going to watch a video down in Ashland. And before we watch that, I just want to remind everybody that this is the first of 2 webinars. We have a whole other webinar. You've seen the site in Bend, the Habitat for Humanity cottage site. If you're in Bend, you'll be able to see that in person on Saturday. This Ashland site, we're about to show you the video. You'll be able to see that in person in Ashland if you are there. And if you want to see the in-person sites virtually that are in the Portland area, you can come back, make sure to come back on Thursday, see those sites. And the link, I'll just put it in the chat here again, bit.ly GZT 2021, if you want to do that. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this final site in Ashland. This is also, just to give a little background, since Nicholas is not here, this is also a retrofit. It's a single family home and has solar plus storage and actually a whole home backup with right now 3 power walls, and Nicholas is about to get a 4th. And just an interesting project all around.
I am the homeowner. I have been slowly adding as much as I can to get to 0. My name is Nicholas Kinsey. I live in Ashland, Oregon. So I started out with 10 panels and 2 batteries. Then I added a electric on-demand water heater and stopped using gas for that. And so that required quite a bit more energy. I added 6 more panels. In order to run that, I needed 2 more batteries. So I got a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle that can run on full electric or gas. I also added a wood stove last year that has a pretty impressive catalyst in it. I do have screens that go over the windows that keep the infrared heat from getting into the house. I've installed a solar tube in this bathroom over here. Every light in my house, with the exception of a row up here, are LED lights. In my front yard, I have a multi-grafted fruit tree that has nectarine, pluot, plum, and apricot. And then I planted a multi-apple, a walnut, 2 kinds of kiwi. I have multiple blueberry bushes, strawberries, goji berry. Every plant that I have has a purpose. Most of it is food. Some of it is herbs. Some of it's medicine. Probably the best thing I've done for sustainability is putting a 2,000-gallon water tank in the ground in front of my house to collect rainwater. Plus I have a 100-gallon barrel on the back porch and a 60-gallon barrel that I use for other vegetables in the back. The city of Ashland is fantastic with the solar panel incentive. They sent me a check per kilowatt post-inspections. There's no absolute legitimate reason for not using the power of the sun. It seems odd that it's taking this long for it to become a mainstream thing, and I wish more people would do it just because of the benefits rather than looking for incentives or, you know, waiting for the government to give them a kickback because they do it. Just doing it is gonna make a difference. My first piece of advice is get started right now. Don't wait. I have children. I want them to understand this is how we move forward. And I think you have to take action. The second piece of advice is don't skim. Don't go short. Shoot for 0. Shoot for a little past 0. Do it to give back. Do it to do the right thing, because that's what makes you feel good every day. And we need some of that, I think.
All right. Another huge thank you to all of our site hosts today. Make sure you tune in on Thursday and come check it out on Saturday. We'll see you later, and thanks for being part of the Go Zero tour.
Thanks, Zach. This has been excellent. Great job. Really great job.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zach.
All right.
Nice to meet you all. Robert, Grace, all really great. I really love the last video. Great message.
Yeah.
Good one to end with. All right. Take care, y'all. It was great.
See you, everybody.